Hey, what's going on, everybody? Once again, it's the Political Brown Kid, and I'm back again. And we're going to be talking about the financial decline of society because, of course, it's perfect timing to talk about it. I've been talking about everything else, and this is what a part of my channel is about, even though lately I've been talking about dating and relationships because it's a hot topic, and of course, I'm going through it. But we're going to be talking about just the decline of society, period. The decline of man. And they're not even really talking about society. They want to talk about global warming. The planet's going to be here. The question is, are we going to be here? And the reason why I say that, you can look at the financial collapse, you can look at socioeconomic collapse of human beings, but you can just look at social collapse in our behaviors. And one thing that I want to touch on is just the sexual proclivities of individuals have just changed. People have really become degenerates. Being a degenerate and having degenerate mindsets when it comes to love and relationships is just becoming the norm. And I've kind of talked about this. And what I want to say too, before I get too involved in this, is for everybody who's new to this channel, definitely go back and check out my original older videos. The ones that I was only getting, like when I first started out, they probably only got one hit, maybe even 3 or 5. But those are probably the most important videos that I've done. I break down, those are the ones where I give you metrics. I kind of set up the foundation of my mindset and the premises that I put forth to you. So definitely check those out. But of course, Elon Musk came out a couple of days ago and he was talking about the decline of the United States. I guess it was based upon some looting and rioting that was going on. I have no idea why he mentioned that, but he did put that comment out there. And you can kind of look at it. Everybody kind of says that, every year that the world is supposed to end. It was supposed to end in 1999. It was supposed to end in 2000. It was supposed to end in 2012 due to the Mayan calendar. It's been all of these ends. We don't know what's coming. We don't know if it's ending or it's just going through another cycle and it's going to go back to prospering. We don't know. But the one thing that should concern people is just the proclivities of individuals, and particularly the women. And I know women, you're going to think that I'm beating up on you, but I'm actually holding you to a higher standard than men. Because, before women had, there was a lot more civility, in a woman. Everybody knew that man, when I say man, I mean men, the male gender, everybody knew we were barbarians, right? If there was a war that was going to be started, you can best believe it was a man that was behind it, right? If there was something that was going to go down or somebody was going to do something with a degenerate mindset, you knew a man was probably going to be behind that. But now we just have the women being just as degenerate as the men. I don't know what other way to say it. And it's because of the things that we've been exposed to. They have become the norm, and people are being exposed to them at younger ages. And so just to kind of bring this to full circle is this. I'm going to give you a little background. I remember seeing a young individual, and this young individual, this was years ago, this young individual's little kid had a cell phone, and that kid was looking at adult content on their phone. So I had to kind of have an uncomfortable conversation with this young kid about, it was a young boy, about what they were looking at on the phone and, what love truly is. Because these kids are looking up, they're being exposed to stuff, they're being exposed to, backdoor, and you know what I mean, backdoor intimate encounters. They're being exposed to, you hear it even in the music, but in the video, I'm talking about in the adult video content, it's different than what we looked at. Because trust me, when I was young, we used to sneak, and then if you got a hold of, a VHS tape, of course, look, I'm going back to my 40 years of age, but you could see some of this stuff. But most of those videos, you didn't have backdoor, that other hole, the third hole. You didn't have that, as that was in videos, so it was around. It's nothing new, but it wasn't around as frequent as you see it today. You didn't see, as I would say, eating someone's salad, tossing someone's salad. That wasn't prevalent in videos like it is today. I'm trying to keep this video as clean as possible so people can listen to this, but the subject matter, you're probably going to put your headphones on. I should have probably set that up earlier. But you don't see a lot of the activities that were back then. We weren't really exposed to it that much. So back in our generation, performing, oral on particular individuals, whichever orifice you were doing it on, it was a newer experience for us in my generation. You're looking at people now, and you're looking at these kids, they're just being exposed to, even when you hear female rappers and male rappers too, I'm not going to let the male rappers off the hook, but just when you hear a female just willing to do that, and she's letting people, perform oral on whichever hole, she's letting people perform penetrative acts on whichever hole, and they talk to it like it's the norm. And so when you have these young kids exposed to that, and I had to tell this young kid that this is not what love is. So don't, number one, you need to talk to whomever, and there needs to be some security locks on this phone. But also, two, these kids are already exposed. Pandora's box has already been opened. Then you have to talk to them about what love is. And, you have to explain to them, because these young kids are just thinking that this is what they're supposed to do. And so if a young boy is seeing this and he's thinking that this is what he's supposed to do, and he's being aroused by this at an early age, what do you think these young girls are doing? And they're thinking that I'm supposed to do this. So now these young girls are being exposed, and they think that this is what they're supposed to do. And like, I've been watching videos online, I'm on YouTube videos online, and you just hear, and even in adult content, because of course I'm not a total prude, I do watch that. But when you look at this stuff, it's just kind of like, some of this stuff, it's not turning me on. And then when you hear just some regular YouTube videos, it's like, people are really subscribing to this. People think they're getting choked. And maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just a total loser. Maybe I'm just a total prude. I didn't think that I was. But, people think that getting choked out is normal, or it's exciting to do in an intimate encounter. People think that slapping people around is an encounter. People think spitting in people's faces and in people's mouths. And the reason why I'm bringing this one up too is because this was mentioned by the female that Zion Williamson, the basketball player for the Pelicans, when she brought that up. And I said, man, yeah, this is why I want to talk about this, because people, if you now have like black people, we now spitting in people's mouths, really? Because you see that in a lot of adult the Euro stuff, and you see that in the Caucasian world. And I'm not trying to say, if that's what they do, fine, I guess. But it's like, this is really what intimate encounters with individuals have become. And also, too, it's like now you even have it where the women, like, you watch these online videos where they're interviewing women on the street and they're asking women, what's the wildest thing you've ever done? And she's like, had 9 guys at one time, been in a train, choo-choo. And they're just, and they're talking about the stuff, laughing, and they think it's cute, and they think that it's a badge of honor to do this type stuff. All hole play is 3-hole play is normal. And I'm not trying to say that, hey, if that's what you're into, that's what you're into. But now you even look at it. And the reason why I'm bringing this up too is because I just watched a video with Shahzad, I forget how to say her name, but the Black Woman's Guide to Loving the Black Man, Miss Ali. And I think she made a very good point, because I noticed this too. And I said that because I used to always tell my ex, because she and I, this was years ago when before I got married, when we used to have hookup sessions after we had broken up. She just used to always just immediately, and I'm not trying to be too graphic here, but she just used to immediately just turn around. First, she had to go get liquor and alcohol. I'm like, I don't like, why do you need to drink? Number one, I'm not a drinker, but I don't mind other people drinking. But it was just like, man, I gotta have an intimate session with a drunk girl. I don't know about that. But that was her thing. And then it was like she just immediately turned around and assumed a position, which was all fours. And that's like, kind of like, well, you take I need to look at your face. What happened to just good old missionary where you look into a person's eyes and you just have a connection in a moment with them, and your bodies are intertwined with individuals. And I hope I'm not being too graphic here, people. This may deviate from my normal videos, and I do apologize for that. But It's just now, it's just women just okay, I'm just gonna get on all fours, turn around, I'm gonna look at the wall, look at the bed, I'm gonna look at these spreadsheets, and or I'm gonna stare at the wall, and you get behind me and do what you do. And that's what it's about. And then occasionally I'll turn around and you can spit in my mouth and choke me from behind. And that's what we have become. And that has been the norm. And in addition to these other things that are going on, you have, we're encouraging young girls that are heterosexual to participate in bisexual activities. Um, because we find that to be attractive and young girls want to impress us, so they're doing things to impress us. And for me, it's very concerning. And I look at this, and we'll talk about the financial collapse of society, but I just wanted to focus on the sexual or intimate collapse of society. Just us as human beings, it's just now, relationships are based upon buying people things or a person's particular status, and then the way in which that we're so easily willing to leave marriages. Once again, they just added that irreconcilable differences. It's like, is your spouse beating on you? No. Is your spouse cheating on you? No. Well, what's the problem? Irreconcilable differences. That's an absolute. When you say irreconcilable, that means something cannot be reconciled. That is an absolute. So you mean to tell me that this relationship just cannot be worked out? So it's just when you have, the rate in which marriage has just become so blasé and easy to get into and out of, when you have intimate encounters where people aren't even really being intimate, they just want the pleasure. And for the most part, you're looking at it, it's really from a woman's perspective, because unfortunately, in order for a man to conceive, he has to have an orgasm, right? He has to climax. It's not necessary for a woman to have to. And I'm not trying to say that the woman should not be pleased and pleasure, but it's just now I think the rate when you start adding in all of these toys. But let me just finish this point. A woman doesn't have to be pleasured for conception, but her contractions during that climax do help. It helps the man's seed push further to the egg. So that is biological proof. And I'm not trying to say a woman should not have pleasure, but it's just the rate when you look at it. We're so involved with with the prevalence of adult content that's easy to get to. When you look at the toys that are on the market now, like females are like, oh man, this toy is the bomb. This toy, it sucks, it vibrates, it does this, it does that. It's got 5 parts to it. You stick this part in here, you stick that part in there, and then this part goes here and it does this. And you have all of these different toys, and they're making toys for men. When you have all of these things coupled with the visuals that you see on television in the adult content, it's making it harder for people to get pleased. People are just like, this stuff isn't, just having somebody on top of me, just like how Bernie Mac said, having intimate encounters ain't nothing but 50 pumps. Count them if you don't have anything to do. If you haven't seen that special when he was on Def Comedy Jam, it's funny. But that's really what it is. Once you start watching it on television and then you start getting into the actual act, you're going to be like, this is boring. And so now you have a lot of young guys, they're having issues climaxing during intimate encounters, during real life intimate encounters with females. Females are taking it personal, like, it's me, but it's not. It's just he's used to a different visual on television of a different act. And what he's doing now isn't nearly exciting as what he sees in the video. And then there you're having some females that just aren't satisfied because the guy's tool doesn't work like her toys. It doesn't vibrate at a speed of, whatever, 100 gigahertz or whatever you want to say. It doesn't vibrate like her toy does. It doesn't have the parts that her toy does. So she's not satisfied. It's probably not even as big because she can have different girths, different sizes, different things for different occasions. And so now you just have people just aren't satisfied. And this is a part of a decline to our society. And I think that people need to get away from, me, myself included, I'm including myself in this conversation. We need to get away from these adult content, and we need to get back to more hooking up with each other in person. And we need to get back to having more personal relationships. And, put it like this. I mean, your intimate encounters, they're going to be boring. They're not going to be as exciting as the video. It's not. But at least we're getting back to looking each other in the face, looking each other into the eyes, actually kissing each other, having passionate kissing, touching one another, embracing one another. Get away from all of this other, turning it into an acrobatic sport. We're not getting judged in a competition for this stuff, even though your partner's probably judging you. But we need to just get back to that. And I'm including myself in this too, y'all. So we need to do some work in that department. And then we need to do a better job of getting this content out of the hands of younger people. And, that requires parents, putting, security checks on kids' phones and also doing periodic check-ins with these kids' phones. Because a lot of us, we just don't do it. It's kind of like with our parents and our, what are we? I'm a millennial baby boomer. I mean, a millennial Gen Xer. I'm one of those. I forget. I have to look up when my year occurred because I was born in the 80s, but early 80s. But when you look at this, back in our day, our parents just sat us in front of a television. That was the babysitter, right? Oh, give him the television. That way he won't bother me and I can walk around the house, be on the telephone, or, the kid can come home, watch TV while I'm at work. So now what this newer generation, and I guess that started with Gen Y, I don't know, whatever, and Gen Z, I guess, whatever those generations are, the babysitters are the cell phones. It's like, give them a cell phone. That way they won't bother me, and that way they can be entertained, blah, blah, blah. But we probably need to do a better job at, restricting certain content. So this is a political brown kid. I hope that this wasn't too much for individuals. And again, I do apologize for the subject matter, but sometimes this has to be said. I am going to be talking about the financial decline of society and talk about a few other things. But once again, this is the political brown kid. Take care.